Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic Monday or whenever you're watching this video. I know I am. Started my day off playing some basketball, guys. I'm already at damn 12,000 steps on the day. Jump shots looking pretty crispy these days, bro. Before today's video, what we have is a video by the man Austin Sweat titled Incredible NBA Predictions That Actually Happened. Now, I'm trying to think. By the way, yo, check that out, man. That's my name, bro. That's my, well, that's an example of not good predictions. That's my current NBA playoff bracket, and it's not looking very crispy, man. But I will react to that when the playoffs are all over with, so maybe I'll get the championship right. Who really knows? But yeah, so, like, when it comes to, like, predictions, I can't think of anything that I've really gotten, like, seriously correct. I know, like, a few years ago, I predicted Derrick Rose to the Knicks the first time around, and people were kind of impressed by that. But, you know, on my main channel, I do damn videos on every rumor and, you know, scenario out there. So you're bound to get a few right, but a whole lot more wrong. So let's check this out and check out these incredible NBA predictions that actually happened.
There's also NBA predictions. They're one of the hardest things to get right because there's so many possibilities and so
Bradley
many
Beal to
possible
every
outcomes.
single team.
But there's also so many predictions.
Or Kawhi
and
Leonard.
If everyone predicts something, odds are at least one person's going to be right. But in these 9 cases, these predictions were either so extreme or so specific that I'd say makes them the best predictions in an NBA history. Okay. At least that I could find. If I miss any big ones though, do comment them down below because I want to hear them. But for now, here's what we got. And the first one is definitely one of the most impressive predictions I've ever seen. It's not completely accurate. Some parts of it are off, but what they do get right is crazy. So they made a good sized Reddit post in March of 2013 about how the 2017 and 18 season would go, about 5 years into the future.
Wow.
So the post reads, Kyrie and LeBron have just brought a championship to Cleveland. Bynum has just won his 3rd ring in the World Bowling Championship. The Spurs are looking to continue their dominance as Greg Popovich hung it up after winning the 2016 NBA title. After signing his final 2-year extension in 2015, Tim Duncan is moving over 1 seat to the coach's chair, replacing Pop.
He does become an assistant.
Kawhi Leonard, the 2017 league MVP, has just signed a new 5-year contract at below market value to help lure dynamic PG Kyrie Irving to town in search of the franchise's 6th NBA title.
Okay.
Now, some things are inconsistent, but let's break this down. He says Kyrie and LeBron have just brought a championship to Cleveland. Originally, they won their title in 2015 and 16, not the 2016 and 17 season, so he was 1 year off. But think about it, at the time
Still
in
not bad.
2013, there was no real reason to believe that James would be returning to the Cavs because he was still in the middle of his 3rd season with the Heat, trying to win his 2nd straight championship against the Spurs. He would still play another entire season.
Yeah, that's a good point, but I knew me personally, like when LeBron went to the Miami Heat, I just knew for his legacy, he had to come back to Cleveland eventually and win one because he said when he was drafted, he said, I'm bringing a ring to Cleveland. He didn't do it at the time. So that's when I really gained a lot more respect for LeBron when he did go back to the Cavaliers and win them something.
And a half before making his return. Not even to mention that at the time, it was only Kyrie's 2nd year in the NBA. So to predict that LeBron would return, Kyrie would be the 2nd option, and that they'd even win a championship at all was insane enough. But let's move on.
Especially at them Duke injuries.
The Spurs are looking to continue their dominance. Greg Popovich hung it up after winning the 2016 NBA title, and Tim Duncan is moving over 1 seat to the coach's chair to replace Pop. I mean, he was close here. The Spurs won the 2014 NBA championship, and Tim Duncan retired. And at the time, there was a lot of talk that Popovich wanted to retire too when Duncan did, and that he strongly considered walking away. Then fast forward to 2019, and Tim becomes the Spurs assistant coach, looking like he was headed towards taking Popovich's spot one day, but apparently he didn't like the job and quit last year.
Oh,
so
really?
This guy doesn't have all the dates right, but he pretty specifically correctly predicted how things were gonna go. He would go on to say that Kawhi Leonard won 2017 league MVP, which never happened, and that he tried to lure Kyrie Irving to win another NBA title. But don't forget when Leonard joined the Clippers in 2019, his first option that he tried to recruit was Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
It just never ended up happening, which makes things even more creepy. Now this next one,
this is kind of some Doctor Strange shit up in here. Like this guy was just like, you know, going through all the damn possibilities, trying to defeat Thanos, or in this case, predict the NBA.
And
you think Doctor Strange ever uses his powers to get rich? That's why I can't be a superhero, because that's literally the first thing that came to my mind. Okay.
More bold. Because as we know, in 2011, the Dallas Mavericks came out of nowhere, did the impossible, and won the NBA championship.
Great ring.
Well, once they made it to the Western Conference Finals, it became public that back in October of 2010, Mavs guard Jason Terry got a tattoo of the Larry O'Brien trophy on his arm, predicting they'd win it all that year.
Confidence,
he said that at the time when he got it, everybody laughed at him and thought it was a joke. Well, it went from him getting laughed at to him having one of the greatest predictions in NBA history. His teammates
Love the
weren't
Jet.
out of hand to laugh at him.
And I love Jets
Before
pizza.
the season started, the Dallas Mavericks were forecasted to finish with the 4th seed in the Western Conference. They were expected to be good, but not make any serious noise in the playoffs. And once they did make the playoffs, bettors had them as the 9th most likely team to win the championship. They had 8 teams ahead of them they picked to win it all before the Mavericks. So it was a bold move by
Dirk
Curry,
really
and
needed
it
that
paid
ring too
off,
for his
and
legacy.
He definitely played a huge part in making that happen. But not so fast. He instantly ruined this awesome prediction by joining the Boston Celtics the next year and getting a tattoo of them with the Larry O'Brien trophy on his other arm. And not only did the Celtics lose in the first round, but he had the worst season of his career. Then he even took
We all remember the dunk. All the young bloods out there, like if you say like Jason Taylor, they're like, yeah, he's the guy that got dunked by LeBron. Like I know him as the Jet. Like he was nasty on the damn Dallas Mavericks, but yeah, that did not exactly help him later on in his life.
one step further the next year and got a Brooklyn Nets tattoo when he joined that team. So come on now, Jason. You're now 1 for 3. Anthony Davis
Still
also
not
had
bad
a game
odds.
where he predicted the future.
That's my free throw
It was in
percentage.
a pretty passive conversation back when he was in high school, though. He was talking about how he got to go to LeBron James's camp, but was injured in the game LeBron actually played with all the students.
Holy shit, that's a prediction right there. No, I'm just joking. Actually, AD's injured right now, but yeah.
Doing the interview, I asked him if he thought he'd ever get another chance to play with LeBron one day, and he said yes. And fast forward a little over 10 years later, and he's playing with LeBron James as his teammate. So, hey, he was right. He got a second opportunity to play with him. But
in a way, doesn't that mean like his time on the Pelicans, like the whole forcing a trade to the Lakers and sitting out, doesn't that make it even worse? Because, like, it wasn't even a case of, like, it was the Pelicans. It was just like, no, I want to go play with LeBron. Like, he wasn't going to come to New Orleans, so.
speaking of Anthony Davis, that also brings up this unthinkable prediction by Jalen Rose a couple years back. So back at the start of the 2018 NBA season, Anthony Davis was still on the New Orleans Pelicans. And by this point, pretty much everyone knew that he wanted out, but no one necessarily knew where he was going to get traded to because there was still a lot of
Detroit!
options. Well, nobody knew except for Jalen Rose, apparently, because on a September 27th, 2018 episode of Get Up, when asked, Jalen said that Anthony Davis would eventually join the Los Angeles Lakers for 2 of Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram. And that's exactly what happened.
That
over
trade still
9
worked
months
out for both
later
sides.
in June 2019. Lonzo and Brandon Ingram were traded to New Orleans with a few other picks and players for AD. But he would even take it one step further because immediately after that he was asked about what Jimmy Butler was going to do and where he'd end up.
Ooh,
and
okay.
at this time he was still trying everything he could to get out of Minnesota, and it was just a matter of time before they traded him.
He said that he-
Rose then said that he would probably end up on a team that he didn't want to play for, but eventually he'd be a perfect fit with the Miami Heat. And I don't know if this dude went back in time to say that or what, because that's also exactly what happened. Because at the time, Butler's preferred destinations were the Clippers, Knicks, and Nets. He instead got traded to the Philadelphia
Jimmy on the Knicks
76ers
would've been
and
solid,
played
man.
pretty good there, but Jalen was right. It wasn't
be
where he
amazing
wanted
for them
to
right
be
now.
because he left after only one season and of course then joined the Miami Heat exactly as he said he would do. Now for this next one, I really can't find the post anymore. I don't know what happened to it, but I remember last year reading a post on Reddit.
Oh, that
It
was me.
posted in 2019 before Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals
Yep.
between the 76ers and the Raptors, where I remember the person posting something along the lines of, what if the series goes to Game 7?
That was my post,
and
man.
in it, Kawhi Leonard hits
I
a
deleted the
game-winning
account.
buzzer beater and redeems Vince Carter and the Raptors from missing his shot 18 years ago. And if you're not familiar, 18 years earlier in 2001, Vince and the Raptors were facing AI and the 76ers
I was at
in
that
Game
game.
7 of the playoffs. The clock had 2 seconds left on it and VC dribbles down and pulls up but misses the shot to win the series. And with Kawhi Leonard, that's exactly what happened. He took almost the exact same shot 18 years later,
And 17
inbounded the ball,
bounces.
then pulled up for the corner 3. But this time Kawhi made it exactly like this Reddit user kind of predicted. Another extremely accurate and creepy prediction came from an NBA player himself in Pete Maravich. And at his
Pistol
peak,
Pete.
Pete was an extremely talented NBA player that played in the 70s. During a 1974 interview, he said this sentence: "I don't want to spend 10 years in the NBA and die of a heart attack at age 40, which at the time was strangely pretty specific. And, well, you guessed it. In 1980, he officially retired in the NBA after a 10-year career. 4 years later, in 1984, he turned 40. Then later that year, he was playing a pickup game in a church gym when he collapsed and passed away from a heart attack due to a heart condition that he didn't know about." But okay, let's
Wow.
lighten things up with
Please do.
LeVar Ball. Now, he's known for saying outrageous and dumb things, for being loud and making people talk. He talks a lot of trash.
Yeah, I like that. I love the shirt. That's about what they're worth right now. I think Big Baller Brand, they're still around, right? Doing something.
saying he could beat Michael Jordan in a 1v1, saying Lonzo Ball was better than Steph Curry, a lot of things to lose his credibility. But the one thing that he's always said, the one thing that remained constant, that he successfully predicted, which he did from day one, was saying that his 3 sons would all make it to the NBA. And he said this way back when they were all in high school, so it kind of seemed like just another one of his crazy quotes back then. But looking back, he was on to
Father's
something.
confidence.
Lonzo was drafted 2nd, LaMelo was taken 3rd, and LiAngelo's, well, LeVar was barely right about that one. But LiAngelo was actually on the Pistons roster for a full 11 days.
Yes, sir.
So it still counts, and it made LeVar Ball right this entire time. On the other hand, one of the more wild, underrated predictions
Man, we
out
could have
there
used Jello
from
this
ESPN
season, too.
Writer and analyst Ethan Strauss. When on October 29th, 2014, he claimed that the Warriors were gonna win the NBA title that season, which they eventually did. But at the time, I don't know anybody else who predicted that would happen. And why would they? There was no reason to believe they'd win at all. Draymond Green was just coming off his 2nd season in the NBA, Klay Thompson was in his 3rd, and Steph Curry had just become an all-star for the first time in his career. So with all that,
that is a solid prediction.
55 games, but lost in the first round to the Clippers. They really didn't look like a threat of winning an NBA championship at the time. But the next season, everything changed. Klay Thompson now became an all-star for the first time, Draymond Green dramatically improved, and Steph Curry out of nowhere became the league MVP. In one season, he went from being a first-time all-star to a league MVP, and helped propel his team to a 67-15 record, putting the NBA on notice, only losing 5 total games in a dominant NBA playoff run. Everything went right for the Warriors that season, and Ethan Strauss is the only man I've ever seen that saw it coming. Then finally, I think the best way to end this out is with a Kobe Bryant NBA prediction. Now, I will say in Tracy McGrady's interview after his passing, he talked about how when he was younger, Kobe would always tell him that he wanted to pass away young so he'd have more of a legacy, and sadly, it ended up happening. But get that out of here. We want to end things on a good note, on a happy note, so here's one a little more upbeat. I also can't find the interview or article where he talked about it, but I'm 100% sure that I've heard this a few times, where one of Kobe's teammates tells a story about how in either his rookie season or early in his career, Kobe was sitting next to him on the team bus and sat there telling him about how when his career was over, he was going to have won 5 or 6 NBA championships, be one of the best scorers ever, and a better player than Michael Jordan. And the teammate looked at Kobe like he was crazy. But
who was it, Kwame?
20 years later, and 2 out of the 3 of those things happened. Just think though how crazy that'd be for him to say. Imagine a young guy like LaMelo Ball coming into the league today and saying that. It doesn't really happen, and maybe if it does, that player's just talking tough, maybe making a joke. But there's no doubt in my mind that Kobe Bryant 100% believed everything he said that day. And day after day, year after year, he did everything possible that he could to make it a reality, and it worked. And
yeah, that was super interesting. These are a lot of predictions I didn't really hear about before, so it's always nice to learn some new things about the NBA. Thank you all so much for watching, man. Check out Austin's channel with link in the description below, and peace out, guys.